Before you can draft a coat in the Haslam system of dress cutting, you need the foundation pieces. And in order to make those foundation pieces, we had to draft a full dress foundation and sleeve foundation. If you want to find out how to do those things, keep watching. Hello and welcome to Killer Kitsch Lizzie, my weird little world where I like to knit and sew and do other crafty things. And today I'm bringing you the dress foundation that you're going to need to make the 1940s style coat. Now, I'm not going to be able to show the whole thing on camera. I'm going to have to take some photos and I'll pop those up, but because it is long. But in today's video, I'm going to show you how to draft the back of the dress foundation. And that dress foundation is what you're going to need for the coat. Also, having that already done, you can use that dress foundation to make a variety of jackets, coats, skirts, a whole bunch of stuff. So it is something handy that you need to have if you're going to continue with the adventure throughout Haslam. So what you're going to see next is I'm going to show you step by step how to draft the front and the back foundation. And then after this, the next videos will be how to do the pattern pieces, how to do the collar and the sleeve pieces, how to do the sleeve foundation. So there's going to be a few videos. But at the end of it all, you'll be able to draft a coat. So without further ado, let's get on to the foundations. Okay, the tutorial. So you're going to need a few things. A pencil. Now, it's up to you if you're going to draw your stuff in marker afterwards, but I'm going to, and I'll explain in a minute why, but I'll be using marker. Possibly tape. Eraser. Paper, scissors. Your templates. You are going to need these. And you are going to need the foundation draftings with instructions for this. And the reason you're going to need those is you're going to need your measurements. You're going to need the instructions for the, well, back and front. I'm going to show you quickly in a quicker way. That way you don't have to follow the instructions step by step. The way I'm showing the front and the back foundation will be simplified, let's say. But we're going to follow along on the instructions for the sleeve because it's going to be important depending on your size or what you're making. If you're making a dress or a long coat or a costume coat. And in this booklet is the dress foundation and the coat sleeve. Now, oh, and you're going to need Bristol board if you're using Bristol board or construction paper or whatever paper you're using. I do highly recommend that you use a heavier paper. I know some people might draw on regular tracing paper, but you use your foundation over and over again, so it makes sense for you to put it on something a little bit heavier. We're going to be starting with the back. We've already done the bodice part of, sorry, just let me put this down. We've already done the bodice part of both the front and the back. If you have not done that yet, I'm going to put a link to those tutorials. So what I've done to save time is I don't want to make this a super long video, because if you've already done the dress part, or sorry, the bodice part, which is this, then if it's already done, simply just tape it to another piece of Bristol board, or poster board. I think everywhere else except for Canada and the UK call it poster board. And just tape it up so that the straight, which will be the center back or the center front, is lined up with the Bristol board, because this entire thing will now become your center back or center front. Yeah, and I just simply taped it to this because there are a couple of measurements that you have to take, or well, one measurement you have to take on both the front and the back from the armhole down. So again, if you have not already done the bodice part of this, go back and do that. And then once it's done, come to this video, because it continues on for the bottom half of the dress foundation. So what I've done to save time, because the other tutorials were quite long, so what I've done is I have ahead of time in pencil done all the drawings, but not to worry. I'm still going to go through it with you step by step, but rather than me taking extra minutes to figure out what goes to what, you know, dot forward to whatever, and it'll go faster and smoother, I think, I went ahead and did everything in pencil, and then I'm going to go over, as I give you the instruction, I'm going to go over with marker so you see it. Okay, so to start, get out your drawing, get out your measurements, and for these two parts, it's up to you. You can still look at the steps if you want. You do it the way you want to do it, but I'm going to just go through the steps with you in a quicker way than reading off the instructions. But as I said, for the sleeve, we're going to go through step on the instructions, because there are more steps to it. You're going to need your back template. So I'm just going to move everything off to the side for now that we're not using. And before we get started, I highly recommend, there are 2 measurements you need to do. Do it ahead of time. The first is the back hip, which is going to be 1/4 of your full hip measurement less 1 inch. And the other is going to be the front hip measurement, which is going to be your full hip, 1/4 of your full, hold on, is it 1/4 or half? Give me a moment. Yes, 1/4. Your front full hip, 1/4 of your hip measurement plus 1 inch. So I'll say that again. Back is your full hip measurement divided by 4 and subtract 1 inch. And then your front is going to be your full hip measurement divided by 4, and you're going to add 1 inch. Also, because my table is not very wide, I'm going to be working sideways, but it doesn't matter, you're still going to be able to understand what's going on. And I will have to shift around a little bit in order to, as I'm doing the steps, in order to show you what's happening. So if you are using something that you have not, that you're not using the edge of for the your back center, you know, wherever you're placing your bodice template, make sure there is a straight line going somewhere, like make sure you have a straight line that continues on from the back center as long as you want it for now, okay? Just make sure you have that straight line because you're working from that straight line is what I'm trying to say. So for now, I'm just going to shift this over a bit. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, and it is one additional measurement, my apologies, from your natural waist. This is the natural waist, wherever your bodice piece ends. Measure to where you want your coat to end. Now, also keep in mind that this foundation can be used for your dress as well. Any of the dresses you're making. So what I did was I normally like my dresses to end at below my knee. So from my waist to the bottom of that is 28 inches, keeping in mind that you will be adding seam allowance after the fact to your pattern pieces. So you don't need to incorporate the seam allowance into the foundation because you're going to be adding those to your pattern pieces later. So for me, without the seam allowance, is 28 inches from my natural waist to the bottom of the hem. So I did that. I've already done that. So the bottom of this is where the 28 inches ends. So go ahead and do that. Then the next thing you're going to do, again, I apologize, I have to shift things around. And let me get my black marker handy and ready to go. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure from dot 3, which is the bottom of your armsicle, and you're going to measure straight down 13 inches. And what they suggest is that from the waist, you measure out an inch and make a dot. And that's going to help you line up your template. So what you're going to do is you're going to then just measure down, line it up at that 1 inch, and you're going to measure down 13 inches. And just put a little dot. Now, again, it is 1 inch out from the waist. But just put a dot, do not draw a line. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that hip measurement we just made the calculations for, and from the center back, you're going to line it up with that dot that you just made. I'm going to make my dot a little bigger so you can see it. And then we're now going to measure from here to what that measurement was, which was 1/4 of your measurement minus 1 inch. And you're going to put another dot. And that is now called dot 4. And then we're going to take our template and we're going to draw a straight dotted line from the edge here to dot 4. Make sure it's a dotted line, not a straight line, because dotted lines are not the finished lines. Solid lines are your finished lines. Okay. Yeah, and the great thing about having this full dress foundation, because I did promise ways back that I was going to do this tutorial, is the dress foundation can be used for dresses, of course, and coats and suit jackets, and depending on sometimes blouses if they're longer. I have seen them used occasionally for those as well. Okay, so we have this dotted line now. So the next thing I did was, just to finish the top part of the foundation, was I now did my darts. So what you're going to do is now you're going to use your, back to your template again. From the center back, you're going to measure in, now this is up to you, where you want your dart placement. Excuse me, either 3.5 inches or 4 inches. Oops. So I personally did 3.5 inches. And make a dot. And then measure in again from that dot 1 inch. Make a dot. And then what I like to do is I find the center, so that's 1/2 inch, and I make a dot. Because you're going to be measuring down to the bottom point of your dart now. And you're going to measure down 5.5 to 6 inches. Again, that is up to you. I think I did 5.5, but let me just double check. Yep, so I did 5.5. You know, and just make a dot, and then now just draw in your dart. The bottom half of the foundation is much easier to make than the top half. It goes faster, way faster. And now we have our dart. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start working down now. And what you're going to now do is you're going to draw a line from, so this is on your bodice part of the foundation. It should be called dot 5. That's what this is right here. So you're now going to draw from dot 5 down to dot 4, which is what we just created. So from dot 5 down to dot 4. And you'll see in the picture here how, and this is to compensate for your hip, you know, waist to hip. It comes out on an angle. And then, you know, it's going to come out a little bit more down here, but we're going to do that next actually. So the next measurement you're going to do is you're going to take whatever this hip measurement was, and you're going to add 2.5 to 3 inches to that. I added 3 inches just because I want it a little wider at the bottom. I like a bit of a fuller skirt on either a dress or a coat. So I'm just going to shift this over now so you can see the bottom of the paper. So from this corner here, which is where your hem, you know, is, you're going to measure over your hip line plus 3 inches and make a dot. And then you're going to draw a line down. So you're going to draw a line from dot 4 just down to the bottom of your paper. To where you measured it to. And unfortunately, these templates are not long enough sometimes. I do tend to have a longer straight ruler hanging around just because of that reason. Or just shift your template, whatever's easier for you. And then one final measurement for the back foundation is we're now going to create this curve here. I'm just going to move this a little closer to me just because it'll be easier for me. And what you're going to use is you're going to use corner 1, which is on the front template. Okay, so grab your front template and you're going to find corner 1. And from the bottom here, you're going to measure up either 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. It's up to you, again, how high up you want to, bring that curve. And I went up 1/2 inch. And then just put another dot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to line up so what I did was I flipped it over. And I lined up corner 1, which is here, to that dot. And then I just lined it up so that it met when that curve meets the bottom of your paper. And then just draw that curve. Oops. Sorry, table. This table has lots of marker on it. So just again to repeat, just in case that went too fast. So this is corner 1. But the way it is, it's not going to, you can't measure it properly, or you can't do the curve properly that way. So just flip it over. And this is, course, I mean, you can mark the back of your template so you know where the corners are too, because you do sometimes have to flip this over. And then just line it up with that new dot that you made, and then line the template up with the bottom of the paper, and then draw your line. So that is the back foundation. And then, cut away the excess paper. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you found it useful. And hopefully you will also make your own 1940 style coat. Now, you don't need to use these templates just for 1940 style coat. You can use it for any of the Haslam projects. And as I mentioned, probably during the tutorial, I believe, you don't have to just use the foundation for a coat. Like, that can be used for a dress, skirt, suit jackets, you name it. There's a lot of uses for the dress foundation. So if you want more Haslam, give me a thumbs up. Mention below maybe what other projects you want me to delve into. I love Haslam system of dress cutting, and I am more than happy to continue with other projects. I do already have a few things planned for this year. There is definitely going to be more Haslam. I only did my first year on YouTube 1, and then last year I did the Tiki Holiday Capsule Wardrobe with Haslam. But this year I'm going to be delving into even more, because you can use the system to make clothes that are actually going to fit your body. So yes, again, let me know below if there is something you want that I have not mentioned. That is, of course, within the Haslam system of dress cutting. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you as part of my channel. And until next time, stay kitschy.